Well, I'm going to welcome everybody to our April Ecotech presentation meeting. Our Vice President Program Chair, who's supposed to be here to do all the welcoming and introduction, is off this weekend having a good time with his wife on their anniversary. And the president, who should be here to greet us and everything else, he's on screen just kind of relaxing and taking it easy, which then tells us that his outpatient surgery went well on Tuesday, and hopefully he's on a quick road to recovery, because he has to be here Friday or else we're going to have a real problem. He's the one that organizes and knows what to do with these repairs. So as a reminder, don't forget this weekend, Friday and Saturday, our recycling event, 9 to 4. We use everybody that's able to come in, play around and have fun and tear apart computers and pick for parts and things like that. So that'll be, you'll also get a reminder. Hopefully you've taken the flyer and passed it out so that we have lots of other people who will be coming. Our speaker today is me. You're going to get stuck with me for a change. So there's not much introduction needs, because I see that just about everybody on here is people who know me enough and still came out for this presentation. So we'll start this off. There's also a new feature that the person sharing can put their camera in the bottom corner of the screen so they can see them. I don't like to do that. You have to do all of the tricky stuff. And through the miracle of virtual desktops, we can go just a click, 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 and be right there. And so, see, there's the, oh, Everett, you need to get rid of that one. Good. Now, go up to the view options where you see the view options at the top. Click that and say hide video strip or whatever that is. Hide video panel, second one. And that gets it out of the way. Perfect. I get a way to get my like this. Just in my way, nobody gets to see that. Okay. Back to the start. Today we'll be talking about what I consider trustworthy, free, open source software. And this is a presentation to the East Central Ohio Technology Users Club. And it's by me. And for those who don't know me, I'm a member of this club. And I'm also a member of the Speakers Bureau for APCUG. And I also happen to be the regional advisor for this region, which is 3 and 6, which is next door, which goes all the way up through the Great Lakes up to South Dakota. This is brought to you by APCUG, the Speakers Bureau that has the availability of all the speakers that we have, and we've got a number coming yet this year. And this is one of the club's benefits of being a member of APCUG. They have access to this, which then means that you have access to all the stuff they do because you are a member of Ecotech. So let's start talking about software. I do this in categories of describing the different kinds of software. And the two main types of software you have is closed source software and open source software. And a lot of people don't understand what's the difference between these closed and open source, and what makes them different, and why is that important. And so I can give you an easy explanation if we talk about potlucks. And I don't know that there's anybody here that hasn't probably been to a potluck, either through our organization or some other organization you belong to, or church or whatever. We've all been to potlucks. And what's nice about potlucks is there's lots of different things to try. But that's a problem in its own self, because some of us have allergies to food items. And so it's kind of a mystery that if I eat that, will I be okay, or will I get sick or something? Because we don't know what's in it. Now, what you can do is you might find out who made that and ask them, well, what's in this recipe? Well, there's two kinds of people. One that says, oh, I can't tell you. It's a secret recipe that's been in our family for a long time. And no, I can't. Now, if you tried it and it was really, really good, you might say to them, well, it was so good, I want to take it to my family reunion. And they'll say, well, I can't give you the recipe because it belongs to the family and we agreed that it won't go out. But they might tell you that I'll let you know how much it costs to make it, and I'd make it for you because you're a good friend of mine. So you could get it made and take it to a potluck. But the problem again is that maybe you had no problem with that food, but maybe somebody in your family has some kind of food allergies and you don't know what's in that. Now, on the other hand, you could talk to somebody who made that and they'll say, oh, I can tell you exactly what's in it. And that way you know whether there's something that's not good. And then if you talk to them about, well, I would like to take this to my family reunion, and they'll say, no problem. I can get you the recipe. The recipe's been handed down from family members to family members. We passed it to all our friends. We like it so much that we want everybody to have it. And so that one you know exactly what's in it. Now, the other advantage of having that recipe is that you can, besides see what's in it in case it's something not good for somebody, but you could look at that recipe and say, you know, that recipe was pretty good. But if I substitute and take out this and put this, that might make it even better. My wife does that all the time with recipes that are good, and say, what if we could do this? The other thing is that you could say, well, if I added this, that would make it better. And you can do that because you've got the recipe. And those kind of people enjoy sharing the recipe and having somebody else make it better. Now, all this relates to software, because as I said, there's closed source software, open source. Closed source software, you are not allowed to see the code of what is written to make that software and make it work. You don't know what's in it. Something could be in it that's working in the background of your computer. Something could be in it that's going to cause damage to your computer. You just don't know. With open source software, you know exactly what it is what's in there, because the whole recipe, the whole code is available to anybody to look. And that's how people find recipes or software that might have something bad in it, and they're able to take it out because people can see that recipe. So cooks like to share their recipes, like the peoples create different ones. Open source developers are willing to share the code so that others can rewrite and improve that software. Now, it's open source, free, but you can usually donate to those people as well, as to thank them for what they're doing. So this is where I've changed my presentation to make these kinds of programs trustworthy, because you know what's in them. Now, there's two other kinds of software that goes with these, the paid ones and the free ones, the PS and the FS. Paid ones, most of you have used paid ones where you put money into it. And then there's the free ones, so that you can make use of a program that's not at all a problem. Now, that's key to combine the open source with the free software, because not all free software is open source. So you might be getting free software, but you have no idea what's in it, and it could be installing and doing whatever else on your computer. So we put these into common letters. So the PCSS, that's what you guys all know, because you've been using that stuff for years, where you pay some company for their software. It's proprietary, closed source. You have no idea what's in it, and only a small group do. So when somebody does finally hack and infect that software, it takes some time to find it, because there's a small group of people that are allowed to have access to it. Now, shareware, the POSS, is programs that might ask for some money just to help support their business. And so it's free, open source, but you know, I'm doing this on my spare time. I need a little bit of money. And of course, FOSS is the totally open, no cost at all. And if anybody finds a FOSS program and somebody's trying to charge for it, that's illegal, because in order to be considered open source software, it cannot be charged. Now, what somebody could charge for is the disk that they put it on, because the program is free, but the media you pay for. The last part is the newer part, is that some of the software you get is specifically for a certain operating system. It only works on Windows, it only works on Mac OSs, or it only works on Linux. And that's a problem, because if you might be using two different operating systems, the same program won't work. But thanks to developers who are smart and say, we want good software to be used by everyone, we now have what's considered cross-platform. Their software works on any operating system. So now my alphabet soup is FOSSX's, free open source cross-platform software. And that's what I recommend, because if you are using a different operating system than me, it won't matter, because it works for everybody. Now, I will say that free programs, this is my disclaimer, might have some features that the free part doesn't, or the paid one has some that the free one. But you got to try to find out, because like with me, if there are stuff missing on some of the paid versions of the free version that I have, I don't miss it. It's something that I don't use, so it's no big deal. So you try the free one, and if you find something's missing, then you have to raise your hand and admit that the money you're paying for that program is only for the missing features, because everything else was free. So it's the missing features that you're paying for, and if it's important to you and you've got to have it, then you're going to have to pay for it. But I tell people, start with the free, and if it doesn't work, then put the money out. But like I said, I have very few software programs that don't do everything I need that I can do for free. So I'm going to share those with you, a lot of the ones that I recommend, and a lot of the ones that you probably might think about considering if you need a good program that's trustworthy, that's not doing something in the background that you don't know, or it's not going to do something to computer, because we know that some of the proprietary software is working in the background, tracking you, recording you, doing stuff that you don't want it to do, but because you can't see the source, you don't know. Now, I always have to begin with the operating system, and the operating system that is the free open source software. Oh, let me also tell you that everybody will get a copy of the slides, because the second half of this presentation, which I don't show you, is live links to all of the websites where you can download these. I don't want you even having to try to go on the internet and try to find, because you got to know what you're looking for on the internet now, because bad guys are all out there. And you type something wrong on the internet, you're going to think you're at the right spot. Even if you think you're at the right spot, you might not be. It might even look perfect. So at the end, it'll give you a live link, a PDF that you just click and it takes you right to the download source. So Linux, of course, is the ultimate free and open source software. And Mike will be happy because I'm now using Cinnamon on my LMDE, because that's the only one that comes with it. And I decided that because I'm not really worried about a desktop. I'm a keyboard user, all my shortcuts. So you want more about Linux, you know where to come. Not this Friday because we have a recycling, but second and fourth Friday. And that's the ultimate open source free program, trustworthy, everything else. All right, let's go through some other things. Now, a lot of people need Office suites to do your word processing or spreadsheets, presentations if you do presentations. And the number one open source free one is LibreOffice. As I said, this program does everything I do. I have been told that, well, you know, it doesn't do this, doesn't do that. Well, in all the years I've been using LibreOffice, and it started out as StarOffice back in the 2000s, I've never missed anything. One neat thing about LibreOffice, LibreOffice kept the traditional drop-down menus for your screen when Microsoft and a few others all went to the ribbons. And a lot of people didn't like going to the ribbons, so they said, LibreOffice has got the drop-down. So a lot of people switched way back when to LibreOffice. Now people are wanting to leave Microsoft Office because of the pay structure, but they're used to the ribbons. LibreOffice said, okay, we can fix that. And this is one program of the few that I know that lets you choose. Do you want a drop-down menu or do you want the ribbon menu? And you can go back and forth. This suite also has a drawing program, a equations program if you're into writing math equations, and a database program if you're into that. There is one other version of LibreOffice. It's called OpenOffice, because remember, I said that this is all open recipes, so anybody can take it and make their own slightly different version. OnlyOffice is reported to be a better match if you have to do a lot with Microsoft people. I don't really understand it. I'm not a developer, whatever, but I'm told that the conversion between OnlyOffice and Microsoft Office is really better in this one than it is in LibreOffice, but I haven't had any real big major problems that way. We also need email, and a client, as Mary Frances would want me to make sure I specifically define, is a piece of software that is installed on your computer. And when you use an email client, it goes out to your post office and brings your mail back to your computer. The other choice is your web mail that many people are using with the old Yahoo, the Gmail, the Microsoft Outlook mail, and the much, much better Proton mail. Those, you're going to their site and doing all your work there, which is an advantage because you can go anywhere in the world on anybody's computer and go there and do it. But Thunderbird resides on your computer because some people want it to come here. So that is a lot like the old Outlook Express, only in much better condition because it's trustworthy and open source. Another new one is called MailSpring. And I haven't tried it yet, but I'm giving it some thought just to test it out to see how it compares. But what's neat about this one, from my understanding, is that if you click on an email from somebody specific, you have access to all the historical emails from that same person that you must have computed with, rather than have to go and look through all your folders and your history, your trash, whatever. It comes up right along with the message that you're doing, and you can easily refer back. So again, all of this stuff is free, doesn't cost you anything except time to try it out and find out you might like it better. My newest addition, most of us said, yeah, we took English in high school, but we forgot a lot. Fingers mess up our spelling. And what we need is more than just a spell checker that comes with most of your programs. We need a language tool to check my spelling, check my punctuation, and whatever. There is a program on the market that people really talk about, but it's a paid one. This one is free, open source, called Language Tool. I have it running on my LibreOffice. I have it running on my email programs, and I have it running on the, I think it runs on the browsers in case you're typing something. And this is fantastic because, as you see, it will catch. I have too many run-on sentences, so it keeps telling me I need to add commas and stuff. There is a paid version if you want to nitpick. I don't need to nitpick. I'm not publishing things out. So Language Tool, the free version, is fantastic to keep me. It'll even say, you know, you've used this word too many times. Why don't you try one of these? I said, because I like to use that word. We always talk about password managing now because this is the key. We are past the time when we could have one password that opened up everything and one easy password to remember. We need a password manager to store and to create passwords that can't be broken. Bitwarden is an open source project that is extremely well. The free version is great. A few people have gone with the paid version because it has one feature that's really important for your family, that the Bitwarden paid version gives you access for a means that when you die, somebody has the ability to get into your email and deal with it. Most free things don't have that. So, and Bitwarden's paid one is like $10 a year. So it's well worth it that your family can get into your passwords to get your email, to get your Facebook, to get whatever. A second excellent open source password manager is KeePass. It's been around for a long time. The difference is that Bitwarden is in the cloud, which I said the benefits is I can go to any computer in the world, get on there, and I can access my passwords to get to something. KeePass is stored on your computer, but you can get around it, I have been taught, by putting a copy up in like Dropbox. And then if you put KeePass on something else. So I highly recommend KeePass. It's a toss-up for me right now between you know, the Bitwarden and the KeePass. The XC means that's the newest one with cross-platform. There used to be one that was a Linux version only, and then they got one that would work on Windows. Now you've got one that'll work on all. I don't mention here, it's just now become open source, is that the Proton family of that has a password manager is also open source. It's free, but I've got the big ones right there. Proton Pass will become more and more as I tell people, and all of us that use Proton tell people about it, because it's free. Next slide, please. There we go. We go to browsers. Nobody in the beginning of computers knew that you had a choice. Everybody thought they had to use Internet Explorer. They didn't know there were other choices. Well, there are. And if we want to go to open source free, although most browsers are supposedly free, but Firefox is an open source program that is trustworthy enough to use. A second one, that way, is Chromium. A lot of people haven't heard about Chromium because it's open source and it sits over there, because the big company took the Chromium and created the closed source Chrome that most of you use. So you need to know that Chrome is closed source. We don't know the code that's behind it, but we do know the code behind Chromium. Chromium works just like Chrome because Chrome came from Chromium. A third browser to consider for open source and security is the Brave browser. And you can see on here that I've used this enough that when I took the screenshot, it has blocked 116,672 trackers and ads. It does that by default. I don't have to do anything. It saves my bandwidth, and over time, it has saved me 1.6 hours of work. And that's probably because you don't have to deal with getting rid of ads and not stopping to look at an ad. So those three browsers, free, open source. If you have a need for taking notes, there is a program that's a paid program that's the top of the line. But besides being paid, it's limited. You can only have it running on like 2 devices at the same time. Joplin is a program that can run on every device. I have it running on my desktop, laptop, and on my phone. And I could put it on, well, both laptops, both computers. It's stored in the sky, uses Dropbox right now for its storage spot. So all you need is a free Dropbox account. And you can have tons of notes on your computer. I can go to my doctor and they want my prescription. I can just pull it up right on my phone because I've got them all in Joplin. You can categorize these. If you have a need for keeping good notes, I have one of my Joplin is all of my clients when I have to help them, and I record their passwords because they forget them. So when they forget them, I can look them up and say, oh, here's the one you forgot. So I have that for medicines and all sorts of stuff that you could do. A new one that I found, which is another good one, I haven't tried this out yet, called Standard Notes. And it does the same thing. It looks a little bit easier because if you notice that in the Joplin, it also uses a language like HTML. It's a different kind of language like that. But it also does the standard one. So Standard Notes just does the regular typing. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to learn the other stuff. I never did with that. One of them that I've had is Simple Note. Some people tell me I don't need anything like this big organizing the folders and notebooks and this and that and whatever. I just need something to take simple notes. Well, there is one, Simple Notes. All you do is click the button, give it a title, type the note, save it. That's all. No putting it in a folder, nothing else. So for some people, that's terrific because it's so easy. Now I have an asterisk because this is one of the programs that isn't been updated recently. It works. And so everybody's saying, well, you don't need to worry about it. So you can get it and it still works. It's just like Windows 7 will sort of still work. Windows XP. It's sort of like somebody who's like me driving a 10-year-old car. It's not being made anymore, but it still works. So same with Simple Note if you need something real simple. Switching, PDF readers. PDF is the universal file type that we use to send to everybody because everybody can read PDFs. You know, it doesn't require like Office to do Office or LibreOffice or whatever. PDFs are universal. In the old days, Adobe was the first one that probably came out with a PDF reader. And so everybody had to have Adobe Reader to read PDFs. A lot of places, I get mad at the groups of my groups in the APCUG regions that their websites state you need Adobe Reader to look at our PDFs. That is so false. You just need a PDF reader. You don't need Adobe. There are a number of them out there, and right now, most browsers will now read PDFs, but I like to have a dedicated PDF reader because it'll do more than what the browsers do. One of the best ones out there is Ocular, cross-platform, has a lot of extra features that you can see, including, you know, down on the side where you can see the chapters and jump to different spots, whereas maybe on the web, you'd have to scroll until you got there. Another one that's really good and yes, is a Windows only, and so I have to mention that for you Windows only people, is Sumatra. It's an excellent one, even subdivides if your whatever PDF you have has subheadings and stuff. Excellent program that can be used by just Windows people. So Ocular goes to everybody. Another one, oh, that's it. There's a couple others out there, but again, I'm focusing on trustworthy, open source, free software. If there was a reason you needed to have an open source antivirus, there's a program out there called ClamWin for Windows. It is not pretty. A lot of people, ooh, what? And my answer is, what do you want? Pretty or function? And so this looks like it's something from the Windows 98 or 95 years, but all you do is tell it what you want to scan it, and it does what it's supposed to do. It isn't pretty, but neither are viruses. So if there was a reason that you wanted to switch to something that wasn't open or wasn't proprietary, you can do ClamWin. A lot of people, I use this in my presentations because a lot of clubs want to do newsletters and they don't know what to use for a newsletter. Publisher's kind of gone and whatever else. And our club uses this same program, Scribus or Scribus, depends on where you put your division for your separate your parts of your words. Yeah. Fantastic program, does probably everything you would need to do in difficult publications. We even tell people that for most people, all you need to do is a word processor. You can make an excellent newsletter with a word processor. But this kind of a program lets you put part of the article here and then part of the article on the next page and all sorts of other stuff. So if you're needing a publication program, Scribus is the one. Encryption is key when you're transporting important files between here and there, whether it's physically with a thumb drive or your computer or over the internet. Encryption is important because when you encrypt something, nobody can read it unless they have the decryption part in the code. VeraCrypt is a tremendous open source encryption program. We have a guy who does a whole presentation on it. All I'm going to say is that you can do it easy enough where you can take a file, put it in like a folder, it kind of disappears, nobody knows it's in there, but the person who has the VeraCrypt program with the password, they'll see it. And so you can put it in a computer and send it that way. You can put it on a thumb drive. You can even encrypt your whole computer, but I tell people, don't even think about that. Because if you lose the password, your computer is hosed because there is no way to get that password. You just have to wipe the whole hard drive, wipe all of your files out, and start from scratch. So encrypt either a folder to store stuff in, encrypt a partition, encrypt a thumb drive so that when you're carrying important information, if you lose it, nobody's going to be able to do anything with it. Screen capture. We tell people who call those of us who get the phone calls, you know, Everett, me, Ken, Jim. Yeah, well, something popped up on my screen and I think it said something like, well, that's not going to do us any good. We need to know, what did it say? So screen capture is a program that captures something on your screen. Now, Windows and all computers have a embedded one, but it's a very simple, plain one. You just capture the whole screen. A program like Screen Capture, we can just highlight and capture what you're wanting. You know, it could be a freehand drawing about something, a window, or the whole screen. And programs like KSnip also include, once you've taken the snapshot, and a program where you can do graphic editing and note markings. So you can say, this popped up on my screen, and you can put an arrow to it so you can see what it is. Or you can highlight something's wrong or whatever. But screen capture programs are great. So KSnip works for everybody. That's my go-to one right now. Before I knew about KSnip, back in the Windows days, GreenShot was the program that it's the one. Not only does it do multiple captures, but it also will pop open into an editor. In the old days, we did all of our classroom manuals that we had to teach in our group were made with screenshots done with GreenShot. However, for you Windows people, I need to tell you that you need to check out ShareX. This program is evidently the program now. At first, I didn't like it because it had a floating toolbar for the drawings, and to me it looked like, yeah. But then I realized afterwards, floating toolbars are good because you can move it out of your way. But this program has so much to it. It has a capture program. It uploads your screen captures to a whole bunch of places. It's got tons of tools on the third side. I don't use this, obviously, because it's only for Windows, but Windows users might want to check out ShareX. We need to know something about your computer and what's on it. We had a member came to me one time a few years ago who said, my hard drive is almost full, but I go into my folders and they're not full, but the computer shows hard drive is full. So a program like WinDirStat, or for the rest of us, QDirStat, which is the Linux version, is a program that will index your whole computer and show you where all of the clog is. Now, I don't pay too much attention to the bottom part. I think it's cool because those show all of your different kinds of files. And obviously you can see that the two big red ones over there are system files, and they take up a whole lot. But this kind of visually tells it. But what's important is what's at the top. So when this person contacted me, we used another program that's an excellent program, but it's not open source, so I don't talk about it now. And we looked at it. It showed that under users, he clicked on that and found out he had a different user than his regular user. At one time, he created a second user. for some reason, but he doesn't use it and forgot about it. It was almost filling up the computer. What it turned out was that that user was connected to his iCloud. And when he was on his phone and his tablet taking pictures and stuff and putting it into the iCloud, it was all going to that user, filling up his computer with stuff he didn't need. So once we found that out, he went in, deleted all that stuff because it was up in iCloud, got rid of that user, and had his space back. But this is good, a program like WinterStat, or this is the QDerStat. It shows you, it just puts big index and says where all your files are. So I've used this many times to dig down to find out what is taking up so much room on my computer. You got to get your computer clean. There's another program that's a closed source that everybody uses, but I'm telling people you need to check out BleachBit because it's free, open source, and to me does a much better job than that other cleaner program. As you see on the left, there is a whole list of what it can check. And you have the ability with this one to toggle on and off specific things. You can see in the middle that I toggled off one set, which was the deep scan. I didn't want it to do a deep scan because it would take a lot. But it lists everything that it can clean up or look at to clean up, and you can check it. And you don't see it all because there's a scroll bar. You can see, Dave, you probably that there's a scroll bar, so it doesn't show everything. Then what's great about this program is it does a trial run. You can click where it says preview. It will preview, it will do a trial run. It won't delete anything, but let you see everything it's going to delete. That way you can go and say, whoops, I don't want that deleted. So you go back into the left side and uncheck, so it won't delete it. Fantastic program. Does a great job of cleaning up your computer.
Excuse me, John.
Yes, Mary Frances.
Could you possibly stop and give me one tiny example of what I might have seen on my system cleaner and one possible thing that I might want to have bleached?
To not bleach?
That I might want to, yes, to have cleaned or to have gotten rid of. Which way does, I don't understand BleachBit. Which way does it work?
Same as CCleaner, but much better and free and open source.
Okay. Thank you, and let me go ahead and process some more in my pea brain.
Oh yeah, you can have, but that's what it goes through your system looking for junk, temporary things, obsolete things, orphan things that aren't connected to anything, just like CCleaner does, but much better. You have more control, and it's open source, trustworthy.
Thank you.
Sure. Another thing that I can't harp on enough, and we've done that the whole month of March was World Backup Day, and that's backing up your files. I don't consider worrying about backing up your computer because you can reinstall. You can reinstall Windows, but files you can't afford to lose. This program is amazing. It's called Free File Sync, free and open source. And it will, you pick what I want to back up, you pick where I'm going to back it up. Free File Sync says, let me look at what you've got, look through everything. Let me look what's on your backup drive, and it will tell you, here are the things that are the same, here are the things that have changed, or here are the things that aren't there. And then you can easily back up stuff that you haven't. It works fast. The first time you do it on an empty external drive, it'll take a while because it's going to back up everything. But after that, it only does it. And so you can see on here that there are some things that the green ones are things that need backed up. Things down at the bottom don't need because they're the same on both sides. This one, when I did this, or no, this is their scan. This is my computer. They scanned 2,875 files, and they found 10 new ones, and I think 23 that needed to be changed, 30 that didn't, or 30 that needed to be deleted. Because you can set this up to say, if I delete it off of my computer, I want you to delete it off of the external drive. Or you can say, if I've deleted it off the computer, don't delete it off of the external drive. I'll keep all that old stuff. The program is great because you can program and create specific backups. You don't have to hit one button and back up everything. You can do it by folders. I want to back up my data and my pictures, and it'll do both of them at the same time. And I want to back up something else. This program is so easy to use. At the top, you select, like I said, what do you want to back up? Where do you want to back it up? And then you hit the compare. It says, here's what's different. And then you hit the synchronize and say, fix it. Program is free, but there is a paid, it's not really a paid. They accept donations, and I support them by giving the donation, which is, might even be whatever you want to donate. It's crazy. He's crazy. I get free updates or automatic updates, and everybody else just does the normal file, check for updates, and get updates. I can't talk about this program enough that everybody needs to have it. If we need to back up your whole computer, the number one program to use is Clonezilla, and that's just where you create a CD, pop it into your computer, and then you go through the list. A lot of people don't like Clonezilla because it's not pretty. It's all text-based. And so it asks you questions, and you pick what answer, asks questions. It's not easy with nice pictures and click and point. But thanks to the Linux, or not thanks to the open source world, somebody said, okay, we'll take Clonezilla because that's the best, and we will make it pretty into a program called RescueZilla. And so RescueZilla is Clonezilla, but with a makeup. So you could use your mouse and click and do that. This program will make either a backup copy of your whole image so that if your hard drive died, you can put it all back. You can do cloning, which some people do, is to take a second hard drive and make it identical to yours. Then you can put that back away, you know, for if your hard drive goes, you just take the cloned one out, put it in, and you're up and running. With the backed up one, you have to re-image it. So I recommend Clonezilla first because it's not that hard to use. We have a presentation on that in a different workshop. But RescueZilla makes it pretty and easy to use. Now, of course, the Penguin's there, and that's because Linux operating system is the only one that can read Windows and deal with Windows. So you're actually using a Linux disk because Linux can access Windows, Windows can't access Linux. And this is what we use all the time when we're trying to repair Windows computers. We have programs that will actually recover stuff off of Windows. If you wanted to go with something else, one that the club uses or used to use when we had a lot of computers we backed up was the Aomi. You could also use the EASUS or EasyUS to do. These are all free open source, but I'll let you know that they're all background, or in the background is Linux. The reason we knew this is that one time we used this, and when you started looking at the file system, Dave Clement went crazy because he said, why is there a Linux file on here? Well, that's because we were using a Linux program to save and back up and recover. If you're looking for a media player, the number one media player that you need to have on your computer, VLC, it plays just about every kind of media, whether it's audio or video. And this program does even more. It converts things I don't remember what all it does. I got to go get that list. But that's the number one program every computer should have because it does everything. It's like the Swiss Army knife of media. Yeah, it just doesn't play media stuff. You go into some of the tools that it has, you'll be surprised what all it does. If you're looking for, if you have a big collection of digital music, if you wanted something that was kind of like an iTunes type thing, the best media player for free open source is called Strawberry. And as you can see, when you tell it to go to this folder and get all of your songs, it then creates a whole big library of all the stuff that you have, what you got in each album, or if you have albums, and then you can play it. You can make playlists. You can pick and choose out of some of these songs in this folder, whatever. This player used to be or came from an older project called Clementine, and because with open source, you could make it. They said we can make Clementine better, so they kept with the fruit and called it Strawberry. These programs also will let you get on the internet radio around the world and listen to places. Amazing program. If you're into the big media stuff with movies that you've got stored on your computer, the program Kodi is the one you want because it will organize everything. And I don't do this because I don't have a lot of videos, but we have another person, the guy who's presenting to us in August. He's the expert on this. He's not going to talk about this particular thing, but he has all of his stuff on here. I think he uses Kodi now, and he can even set it up so that his family living away from him using the internet can access and listen to tunes and watch videos. This is a big media server, and the software to use it is Kodi. If you're looking for image editing, the one you have is GIMP. It's free open source. A lot of people say, well, it's got a learning curve. Well, it's a huge program, and it has a learning curve just like Adobe Photoshop would have. Only this one is the free one. So if you're into a big deal editing, you want GIMP, graphical imaging manipulation program, I think is what it stands for. If you're not into the real high level, then, oh no, I jumped ahead. Then if you're also into big editing, this program is amazing. I'm not into it, but when we used to have our digital imaging SIG, this program wasn't around to use. But you probably heard of something very similar to Darktable. You probably heard something called Lightroom, which is an Adobe product. So Darktable will do a lot of that. This is neat because it has a little slider that lets you see before and after. So you can see what the changes are going to be made. And if you're into the digital imaging and stuff, you know how you can change all those little wave lines, and that's, beyond me. But if you were looking for a top level program, GIMP and Darktable. There are a number of programs that are out there that aren't as difficult to use. Even the Paint program can be used for a little bit of editing, but there are a number of them out there. But I was pointing out the top two free and open source. If you need to do some audio editing, the program called Audacity is what you need. And this one is where you can take old record players, run it through your computer to digitize it, and then go through with this program and take out big pops and scratches. It can even done part of that automatically if you don't do that, go through. It's amazing. It's also where you can cut out parts. You can make recordings, and then with this program, you can record your voice, make it into digital. Then you can send it on for like birthday, anniversary things. You can see that it's multiple tracks. So you can have music, and then you can do voiceover on top of the music. If you want to do with video, Kdenlive is a fantastic program that is cross-platform. I've got a couple different versions of programs you can use. But this is one where you could have a video. You went on vacation, you took a lot of videos that didn't have sound. You put it into a program like Kdenlive, and then you can add a soundtrack and tell about what they're seeing. You can also go in there and put in slides to say, here's what the next place is going to be. Fantastic program, and it doesn't cost you anything. Another program that you could use that might not be so overwhelming is Shotcut. Does the same stuff. You can see how you pick the different videos you want. You put them down in your tracks, and you can go then to a screen that says, I want to do slides, and put that in there. And you can cut and separate and merge, and you can put things together. Ugh. And then another one that even looks easier, but it's still very functional, is the one called OpenShot. I'm not into this yet, but my oldest son, he's into a lot of digital stuff and movies and stuff. And he has a program that I watched him teach that's a 3D program, but Blender is a free one. And if you're into 3D making, this program is on the level of commercial use. So if you had a use, I've learned enough that you can draw a shape, and then over here you've got the ways you could stretch it out with whichever axis you want to use. And then a lot of times you can add backgrounds to something. But if you're into three-dimensional stuff, Blender. I'm not into AI yet. I'm not quite sure how much I trust it, because I had somebody who went to AI and asked different, the Microsoft one and the Google one, what are the disadvantages of AI? And it talked about some of the bad stuff. But I got to tell you, I got to include a brand new open source AI imaging editor is a website called Upscale. And you put your picture up in there, and you go to Upscale, and you kind of hit the button, and it's going to artificially do repair your picture and improve it. I haven't used it to see, but somebody suggested that, and I went there and said, yep, there's another dial that says before you do it, it'll show you. But it's the kind of thing where with artificial intelligence, if you got scratches, they clear up the scratches. If you've got something missing, because if you remove something, it might leave a empty spot. It can figure out how to fill that spot. So you can check out Upscale. Many times you need an archive manager or what we call zipping program. Pictures, sometimes you take pictures, you want to send them across to email, it's too big. Your email service says too big. Or you want to take a multiple set of pictures and send them. But that means one at a time. An archive manager will zip those, dehydrate them into one file. You send that file, and then they have the program that unzips it. In the old days, everybody's using a program called WinZip. It was a paid program, but it had a trial. And the amazing thing about it is the trial never ended. You could just renew your trial, renew it. Well, you don't need to do that which is not fair. 7-Zip is a real good program. It's easy to use. The process is it says, okay, select the files you want to zip together, and then we do it. You send it to somebody, they go to the program, hit that file and say, I want to extract all of them, and it comes undone. That's something for a class how to do it. The new program that I'm liking and using is called PZip. 7-Zip was the one. PZip is kind of like the newer one. I just like the way it works. It does the same thing, but to me, it's just newer. If you're looking into genealogy and you want to get started at no cost, the top program that you want to get is one called Gramps. And this is a program that you can start anytime. It's not that hard to start. Gets complicated. You just start with you, and then you say, I want to add brothers and sisters and mom and dad, and kids and grandkids. And so it makes all of that stuff. But then you can go into deeper detail by linking people together, add all their information, all that stuff that I've always said, boy, it'd be fun to set up a genealogy fund one. I don't have the time for that. But Gramps is a great program that does all of that stuff. So if you want to get started in that, you don't need to go and buy a subscription to some of those programs until you find out. Remember, I always say, try it. If it lacks what you need, then go pay for it. Last on my list, we have a lot of people that do a lot of ebooks. And there are a couple of different types of electronic books out there. And this is the program that you want to have if you have a lot of different ones. Calibre organizes them and does all that stuff for you. And if you're into that and you got a lot of it, I know a lot of people that download books from Amazon, download books from the library, download free books from everywhere because there's a whole series that are copyright free now. This is a program that's really good to organize it. As you can see, if you get the information, it does like records with the book covers and all the information about that. I tried this out for one, but I'm not a big ebook person, but it worked out really, really well. So are there others? Well, yes, because with open source, it's like, have you ever been to a potluck where there have been 6 different dishes that were the same and they all were a little different? So yeah, there are others. One of the websites that I recommend that if you're looking for an open source alternative, for example, if somebody wanted an alternative to Microsoft Office, they could go here and say, I want a free open source alternative to Microsoft Office, and they would list LibreOffice, OpenOffice, OnlyOffice. So that's a great website. If you have a program that you know it's a paid one and you'd like something like that, just go there. Another one that's free open source software, go there and they have tons. I think that's the one that even has 3 different tabs: Windows, Mac, Linux. So you don't have to go through the whole list, you just go to the Windows. And of course, SourceForge is the leading place that stores all of these free and open source stuff. So you can go check on that. Now, thank you for allowing me to share the ideas on open source. If you have comments, you know how to get a hold of me because you're from me. This is what we now are encouraging people who do presentations, Speakers Bureau, to throw in the disclaimer that my words are my words and don't represent necessarily APCUG and their advisors and directors. So here's what you get in the part 2 that I'm not going to go but past this first slide, is that I have a listing of everything that I showed you today. And those are live links. All you do is click on them with your mouse. And if I do that, oh, yeah, there we go. It'll take you right to the download page for that program. I even found right to the download page. So
John,
yeah,
are those, when I upload this, are those actually going to be clickable?
the PDF will be clickable.
Yeah.
They won't be clickable on the video.
Yeah, but
but-
how's the PDF going to get uploaded to YouTube?
It goes to our website and to all the members. I mail those out just like I do a lot of the other ones that from the people that have done ours. Okay, now I gotta find out. It's here somewhere. It disappeared. Oh, well, I didn't need to see that. So that makes it easy for everybody to just go ahead and click on those. It'll take you right to the website, and you don't have to search, because unfortunately nowadays you might try to go to somewhere, and you just can't always trust it unless you know exactly where you're going. Jim Amore has his hand up. Unmute yourself, Jim.
Yeah, I wanted to let people know about the nightnight.com. That's a lot of free software you can get, and you don't have to worry about it because they make sure there's no viruses and so forth. And it automatically installs on your computer, and you can do more than one at a time, and it's has the upgraded versions, and it looks at your computer and it will install the right software for your computer. If you have Windows 7, it'll install the version for Windows 7 or Windows 11 or whatever. So it's a very good, we use it all the time when we refurbish a computer.
Okay. And the reason it's not included is because it's not open source. But I'm going to trump you. Oh, I don't want to say that word. I want to jump and over you and teach you and Everett that there's a better one out there.
Okay.
Night's the old one. And this isn't open source either, but since Jim brought it up, you Windows people, the program you need, and Everett needs and Jim needs, is called Patch My PC. It is a program that you don't even install on your computer. It is an executable that runs when you want it. It has a larger database of programs than Night. It can be customized to auto run on your home computer and check. Yes, we use Night, but once you've tried Patch My PC, I think you'll find that program will work better. It creates a file on your computer that the first time you run it, reads your whole computer, finds out what programs you have, then goes out, finds the ones that need update, tells you which ones and which not. You can even customize it so that it doesn't put any icons on your desktop. It runs in the background. You don't even have to be with it. If you see a program that is in their list of like 300 and you say, oh, I'd like that one, you just check it. Then when you run the scan, computer says, well, you don't have that program. I better install it. So Windows people, you need to check on Patch My PC Home Installer. There's a paid version for companies that are dealing with hundreds of computers, but for local use, it's called Patch My PC Home Installer. It's on my other program when I talk about non-open source stuff. It's the one that APCUG advertises and recommends all over the place. So check that one out. Any other questions about free open source software from anybody?
John, what is
Everett?
it's pretty unthinkable, but definition. When you keep talking about open source, does that mean that the program or software coding can be viewed?
Yes. Yep.
Well, but we don't all need to have open source software, because I doubt if I ask who in this room, raise your hand if you know how to do programming.
None of us would.
Well, yeah, so why does it matter if it's whether it's open source or closed source?
Because if you get closed source, somebody could stick a virus in it. Somebody could stick in there a tracking program, and you wouldn't know it because the source is closed. That's what Microsoft and Adobe do. You want the open source because there are people who know code, and that's why Linux and open source software, when something's discovered, is fixed right away because it's open source and everybody sees it. When it's closed source, it takes a while because it's a small group of people, the developers, that are allowed to see the code. So no, it's not open source because I want to see the code. It's open source. I use open source because I want somebody else to be able to see the code to make sure I'm not getting stuck with something. That's why. And that's why the one time that there was Linux had one of the Linux operating systems download got hacked because of somebody else's web. It was their fault. But when it was discovered, it was fixed within such a short time that most of us never knew that there was a problem. With the Windows, we all know there's a problem, and Microsoft's going to get to the solution. So no, that's why it's just like those people who are the ones that test out stuff that we take. We wouldn't test any medicines and stuff, but there are people who test it to make sure it's good for us. So that's what the open source software is. We know that that software is open. Okay, Mike, go ahead. Michael, turn on your mic. Unmute so we can hear you. I think you had your hand up.
Yep, I did. I have a question about the Free File Sync program.
Yes.
And I have 3 different computers which have a folder named the same on all 3 computers. And I was just wondering if it would be possible on an external hard drive to sync the files in those 3 same named folders on this, using this program, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, it can. You just have to be careful that you don't do something to one computer that you don't want the file on the other computer to make. But with Free File Sync, you give the exact path. So I can, on my Free File Sync, on my hard drive, I can have 3 folders, one for each computer, and back up the same. The way I do it is that I keep my devices together with like a cloud service, pCloud. And so I can be on this computer, go to pCloud, get something that's on my desktop computer because it's backed up to pCloud. I can get to that folder on pCloud, bring it back down to here. But yeah, you could, because if you would name the same, the folder the same, then when you told it to back up and restore, you would just say, go to the hard drive and back up that backed up folder to my device. And then you'll be keeping all your 3 computers in sync.
So I haven't done any sort of cloud backup, but using pCloud, would it be possible to back up all 3 computers to a single location on pCloud?
That's what I have.
Okay.
Yeah. When you go to pCloud, you name the computer. So I have a pCloud backup, and there's my Linux desktop backup, my Linux laptop, my other Linux desktop, and a laptop. So they're all listed there, so I can go to any computer and get any file that's been backed up from the other computer.
Okay. Guess I need to look into that. Is there a good tutorial on using pCloud?
Oh, no, yeah, definitely. It's very easy. It shows up on your computer as a hard drive, just like OneDrive does. And you go to the web-based one, or you just go to the folder, and it connects to the web. So it's very easy to do, and I can help you with it if you need be, but it's very good.
Okay, thank you.
It's also one that can be done where you can back up files to share with somebody in a different folder on that, so that your files are protected. But I could put a file up there and send you a link, and you could go work on that file and stuff like that.
Okay,
Yeah, go check out pCloud. Anybody else, since Adam's not here to do that, with questions? As I said, you'll get a copy of that. You can go check out all these programs. They don't cost you a cent, so there's no reason not to go try out something if what I showed you was something that, I might use that. And a number of those programs are ones I said you got to have. You need to have the WinDirStat if you're a Windows person, just so that you can look to find out what's hogging up your computer. And you might find out, I'd forgotten about that big file. I don't need that anymore. So get rid of it and make up some room. And that program, the Free File Sync, there's a couple more, are just utilities that everybody should have. There's no reason not to, because they're free. Okay, I will say that in Adam's behalf, that next month Adam will be here doing a very informative program that we can't talk enough about, internet scams. You can go to our website and see on the list of the programs. Not only on that page does it tell about the upcoming program and the description, but we have listed every presentation we're doing for the rest of the year, except for November. That one, we just put that program or that meeting back on the calendar, so that program hasn't been picked. But you can go and on the web or to the Ecotux Google calendar. All of the programs for the whole rest of the year are up there. And I'll tell you that you need to be ready for the September program. The September program is going to be putting some people on the spot. Everett McKee, Jim Amore, maybe Michael. We're going to have a Stump the Techsperts. And this is the chance that you have for all those questions you have about technology that you wanted to ask, that we're going to let you know now, so that you have plenty of time to put those questions together and bring those questions and see if you can stump the Techsperts. And if you can, you might get a little something for it. So that's the big special program for September. But every month we have a program already picked. You don't have to say, well, what are you going to do next month? We know the whole year except for November. So go to the website, go to the programs, and see what's the list there. Next month we'll be back, and in this is March, April, May. No, that's May. Is that June will be a program that you need to be spreading the word. It's a program that's going to be all about your digital afterlife. One of the biggest problems we have is when people die, families have no way of accessing critical information. So Joe Kissel is going to be here doing a presentation on digital afterlife. So lots of good programs that Adam has planned for this year. So go check them out. And I'll turn things over to Dave Roush.
Hey, I have a question for Jim.
Oh, I don't know if we're doing questions for Jim, but Jim, you taking any questions? Michael has a question for you.
What time should we be here Friday?
Oh, for Friday, recycling, I'd be there about 8.
Okay.
Shouldn't you ask him what time the donut's going to be here? Yeah, that's the question.
You're planning on being there.
Yeah, Jim's planning on running that. He's not gonna, he's gonna do this. He'll have, which arm is it up? It's left arm, right? Correct?
Yep.
He's gonna be doing there, there, take that, put it there,
Yeah.
that, there. He's practicing pointing with his other good hand.
That's it. Yep.
I'll be there.
I know when to stop the recording.
Done with the recording. Meeting over, see everybody next month. Or hopefully see everybody at the next business meeting.